what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power. I've got a couple of interesting stories for you guys today. The first story that I've got for you guys today, we finally got a physique update from Hadi Choopan. This is a top 3 guy, 3rd place last year at the Olympia, and he is a guy that we've gotten probably the fewest physique updates from, next to Brandon Curry. Brandon Curry obviously was runner-up last year. He's a former Mr. Olympia champion. And it seems like things have kind of gone in reverse really this year, because Big Ramy was a guy that typically posted the least, and now Big Ramy, the returning defending champion, is posting way more than either of the other 2 guys in the top 3, Brandon and Hadi both. We haven't seen much from at all. And today, getting this physique update from Hadi Choopan, and this is the first one where I was actually really impressed with how his conditioning was looking, even though in that update he says this was shot a while ago. But he also implies that it was shot during this prep at some point. It looks like it was prior to him getting to the United States, because that looks like the gym that we've seen him film at before in his home country. So likely not here, so likely before he came back here to finish his prep with Hani Rambod. So this was likely in the 7+ weeks out range. And you can see he's already extremely conditioned. You can see a lot of striations in his chest. You can see that crazy vascularity. And he's working with Hani Rambod, and we know that Hani Rambod doesn't miss. He is very consistent. Conditioning is one of his strong points, bringing in his clients very well conditioned. Hadi Choopan, I still think, for the past several years, has been the most conditioned bodybuilder in the Olympia lineup. And it's cool to finally see an update from him. I'd like to see something actually closer to the Olympia, how he's looking, to get a better gauge. But I think he looks very impressive here. And like I said, I do think it's interesting that it seems like this prep has been the reverse. Ramy has been posting the most, and Brandon and Hadi have been posting the least. So of the top 3, Ramy's really the guy getting talked about the most, because he's the most active right now. He's showing the fans the most in terms of how his physique is looking, and that's why he's got so much hype going into this Olympia. I don't think there's very many people doubting right now that Ramy's going to be able to win his 3rd title this year, because we haven't seen anything from the other guys, whether it was more or less impressive than what Ramy's putting out. So we don't have really much to compare how Ramy is looking to. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Where do you think Hadi Choopan will place in this year's Olympia? Do you think he'll still be top 3? Do you think he'll slip in placings, or do you think he'll move up? Personally, I think he looks fantastic here, and I think he's going to remain in the top 3, regardless of the fact that we haven't really seen many updates from him at all. Now, next up in the news, I wanted to get your guys' opinion on this as well. I thought this was kind of interesting that Michal Krizo responded to a comment on one of his updates where someone asked him, do you believe you can crack the top 10 at the Olympia? And Michal Krizo responds to that comment and says no. So I reposted this on my Instagram, and there's a lot of different opinions on this. Some obviously think he was just trolling, because he's kind of got that kind of sense of humor. Some think he just didn't understand the question because his English isn't that great. And then some people thought he was actually serious and really believes that he won't be top 10 at the Olympia. And granted, there are 40-plus qualified competitors in the Men's Open Olympia right now, or around 40. So even cracking the top 15 in this lineup would be impressive for a guy that is his first Olympia ever. But I think a lot of people do forget that Michal Krizo won the Arnold Classic under the other IFBB's banner. He's won the Mr. Universe under the other IFBB's banner. He's won pretty much every competition as a pro in the other IFBB, the IFBB Elite Pro, which granted, the competition there isn't the same level as the IFBB Pro League, but it was still professional competition. He was the best bodybuilder over there. This is not an amateur bodybuilder coming over and doing the Olympia for the first time. He has been around the block, even though at that Prague Pro, it seemed like he was having a lot of trouble posing. He was shaking a lot during the posing. He was getting exhausted. It was like he hadn't been on stage in a while. But even though he had to do an amateur show to earn his IFBB Pro League Pro card, this is not a rookie. This is not a guy that's just coming in with no experience. This is not a guy that has not competed against pros before. He just hasn't competed in this professional organization. So I do think Michal Krizo has a real serious shot at the top 10. I think he was trolling here. And honestly, I would be surprised if he was outside of the top 10. Now, all that being said, I was extremely critical of Michal Krizo at the Prague Pro, because I think he really needs to up his conditioning and his posing for the Olympia. And I do think he is going to up his conditioning. We just haven't seen it yet. And I think the reason for that is he's saving that package for the Olympia. The posing is still a question mark for me, but as far as the size, his overall physique, I think he has a top 10 Olympia physique already. It's the conditioning that's the question for me, and the posing is the biggest question mark. But his physique now, if he brings the conditioning, he is a top 10 threat at the Olympia. And anybody that doesn't believe that, I think is out of their mind. Now, if he's off, he would certainly probably be outside of the top 10. And that's why I make the point about the fact that Michael competed so much in the other IFBB, because you guys can Google it. I'll show you guys some pictures. I've seen him peeled to the bone. He's done it before in the other organization. And if you Google some of the shows that he's done there, you can find some pictures of him with crazy striations, peeled to the bone on stage. And that's just not what we saw in Prague or at the Olympia Amateur. But I think we're going to see that at the Olympia. Now, next up in the news, I've been seeing this all over my news feed today, and I'm not sure why it is such a big story, but Blessing Awodibu finally signed with a new supplement sponsor after leaving Redcon 1, and I'm guessing that's why it's a bigger story, is because of the drama surrounding him leaving Redcon for the second time. So that story, he ended up signing with Muscle Tech, which I do think is interesting because Muscle Tech is a company that was really big in the past, and they had a lot of sponsored athletes. They sponsored all the top guys like Jay and Ronnie and Phil at one point, Dexter Jackson. I think even Branch Warren was with them. They sponsored a lot of the top pros for a very long time, and then all of a sudden they kind of fell off, and you don't really see any of the top pros sponsored by them anymore. And now signing Blessing seems to be kind of like their comeback to that. And I thought it was interesting because BSN was kind of the same way. BSN sponsored a lot of the top guys like Rolly, Dallas McCarver, Ronnie Coleman, a lot of these top guys as well. Dennis Wolf. And then for a long time, you didn't really see much from BSN, and then they came back to the scene to sponsor Andrew Jack. So it's kind of cool to see these older supplement companies, like around the time that I started going to the Arnold Classic, maybe 2008, 2009, those were the biggest booths. Those were the biggest companies. Those were the companies you saw all over the magazines. And as time progressed over the last decade or so, those companies seemed to have fallen off and new companies kind of took over. So it's kind of cool and kind of nostalgic for me to see companies like Muscle Tech and BSN coming back and sponsoring this newer generation of athletes, and hopefully they do make a successful comeback. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below about Blessing working with Muscle Tech now, and I believe they said it's going to be a multi-year sponsorship deal. I think it was like 3 years is what I saw, which is really not typical nowadays. A lot of supplement deals these days are very short-term and have a very high turnaround rate. That's why you see a lot of top bodybuilders switching brands so much. It happens a lot. And in that same vein as that previous story, Nick Walker posted a picture recently wearing an HD Muscle Supplements shirt. So a lot of people are now speculating that that is his new supplement sponsor after discontinuing his relationship with Fouad Abiad's Hostile Supplements, and obviously prior to that he had the Raw Revive situation. So there's a lot of speculation now that he posted this picture that that is going to be his new supplement sponsor going into this year's Olympia. That remains unconfirmed, but I would not be surprised. And the final story that I've got for you guys today, Shaun Clarida apparently did clarify that the IFBB is not going to let him compete in both the 212 and the Men's Open Mr. Olympia, which is not really new news. When he first announced that he was qualified for both and considering doing one or the other or possibly doing both, I had thought they had already came out and said he couldn't do both. Then they kind of walked that statement back, or at least Dan Solomon or the Olympia kind of said, we haven't told him that he can't do both. But now it looks like that's official, so he's going to have to pick one or the other. I personally think he should do the 212 Olympia. Now that Derek is doing open, it gives him a better shot to win that title back. But who knows? I mean, Clarida had conditioning good enough to win a show like Legion, but that was against the top two guys there were Sergio and Regan. That's a different caliber of competition than he's going to be facing if he competes in the Men's Open Olympia. Good conditioning isn't going to be enough to win that show for him. Or I really don't even see him being able to crack the top 6 if he does Men's Open. He's a great bodybuilder. He's got fantastic conditioning, but that size difference, especially in the first call out at the Olympia, is going to be very difficult for him to overcome. Like I said, he was able to narrowly beat Regan Grimes at that Legion competition to qualify for Men's Open, but Regan is like not even a top 12 guy at the Olympia. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Do you think Shaun Clarida should do 212 or open at the Olympia? That's going to wrap it up for the video, guys. I hope you did, in fact, enjoy it. Make sure you leave a like, a thumbs up. If you did enjoy the video, make sure you subscribe to the channel and click that bell notification icon if you have not already. And as always, I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Nick Strength and Power, signing out. All right, guys, don't forget to click that like button and subscribe to this channel if you enjoy the content. Also, check out my Instagram at NickStrengthPower. My Facebook page, which is simply Nick Strength and Power. My secondary YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Vlogs, for vlogs and bonus content that you will not see on this channel. And consider subscribing to my third YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Pokemon, which is all things Pokemon and trading card games, completely unrelated to this channel. So if you're into that, give that one a look. And all links to merchandise and social media will be in the description box below. If you guys want a Nick Strength and Power t-shirt, that will be in the Shopify link below. Have a great day.